What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going to take a look at my 2014 Lamborghini Gallardo. This one is an LP550-2 finished in a Bianco Monocerus color. So it is a nice flat white over a black leather interior. You're going to see the perforated leather and red stitching all throughout. So we can pop the front trunk and then pull the seat out of the way a little bit and gain access to the engine compartment. So let's go ahead and take a look at what is powering a Lamborghini Gallardo. So underneath this compartment, you're going to find that naturally aspirated 5.2 liter 10-cylinder engine. It makes about 550 horsepower with 398 pound-feet of torque. This car also weighs in just over 3,000 pounds. The engine is paired to a 6-speed automated manual transmission called the 6-speed E-Gear. There is also a gated 6-speed manual available. If you go for the rear-wheel drive version like my car is, 0 to 60 is about 3.9 seconds. The all-wheel drive cars can do about 3.4 seconds, and these cars top out at 199 miles per hour. It also runs on a 23.8 gallon fuel tank. You can expect 14 miles per gallon in the city with 20 out on the highway. I've been averaging lately about 13. If we go ahead and close it, let's move on to the trunk storage space. It is worth noting on the highway I can get about 450 miles of range. So you actually do get over 20 miles per gallon on the highway in the rear world. So the front is where the trunk is located. This is actually pretty useful. I have my camera bag, hat, and tripod in here. On this right side, comes with the car. If we open this up, we have the Lamborghini mechanics gloves, your tow hook, and just a few little tools here and there. These cars do come with another thing on the other side. Can't remember exactly what is in there. Battery access is right in here, and there will be a shelf in here from the factory that you can pop these tabs out and remove it to make your storage actually useful. Not too bad, pretty practical for what it is. Moving on to the styling. So this is the second generation Gallardo. First gen cars were 2004 to 2008, then 2009 to 2014 looked like this. We have a very cool set of headlights. You got that Y shape in it that Lamborghini is very famous for these days. Some sharp lines in this front bonnet lid, of course your Lamborghini logo. And then I really like the black accents for the rear-wheel drive cars. You can see that black in that front splitter, massive openings on the side to provide a cooling to some of the many radiators. And of course this car has that amazing wedge-shaped design, just a beautiful car in every way you look at it. Coming around the side, we have the amber color for the front corner lights, and then a nice set of 6-piston front brake calipers. The rotors up front are 14.4 inches. In back, you're going to see a 4-piston caliper with a 14-inch rotor. These also have a very nice design for the wheels. You'll notice these wheels on the first-gen Superleggera as well as the second-gen 50th Anniversario. Got the Lambo logo right in the center as well. And then really sharp body lines going around the side. Obviously, Lamborghinis are known for having that wedge design. Absolutely stunning. Just the hood and the windshield are all seamless into the roof. The LP550-2 cars are also going to have a two-tone side skirt with the black and white. The black matches the rear diffuser. We have one of the vents on the side for more cooling, and then up on top you have your air intake ducts along with our gas cap. Nice smooth body lines throughout the side profile, and that transparent engine cover where you can see that V10. I did opt for an aftermarket rear wing. This is what you're going to see on a Superleggera along with the 50th Anniversario, finished in genuine carbon fiber. We also have the third brake light along with a backup camera, Lamborghini name, and then a nice aluminum mesh piece to allow heat to come out of the exhaust. I also have the Superleggera exhaust tips, so these are much larger than the factory ones on a standard LP550. Original ones are going to be chrome and a lot smaller. And you also have a massive rear diffuser finished in that satin black. I also love the Y shape throughout the taillights. It is a stunning car at every angle. Clearly, I'm a big fan of them. Definitely a beautiful car. As we make our way inside the car, this is an old school vehicle. We have a classic turn key. You have the button, you can pop that, and we have your lock and unlock button only. It would be nice to see a trunk button on here, as it is all manual. When you open the door after an extended period of time, you'll hear the hydraulic system prime the transmission. And then for my interior, you're going to see a lot of smooth black leather, perforated leather throughout the center, which is an option. I love all the red stitching. We have leather on the grab handles, which is also an upgrade, and then just black throughout the rest of it. We have a Gallardo written out on the aluminum door sill, and then smooth black leather throughout the entire door sill itself, and a good look at the power seats. You have all your basic controls, even with adjustable lumbar, and I like the red stitching and red piping. Nice design for these seats. I'm definitely a fan of the spec I found. Beautiful interior. Got the Lamborghini logo embossed into the headrest, and then more perforated leather for the steering wheel with a flat bottom design. The leather down here is optional as well. Basically, this centerpiece, this piece, and the door handle, they come standard in gray plastic. You can either option it in carbon fiber or leather. On this left side, you're also going to see a little storage compartment, great for a cell phone or a pair of sunglasses, and then more perforated leather throughout the entire lower dashboard. So hopping in, it is a very low car, so not the easiest thing in the world to get into. And then we just flip the key, insert it into the ignition. Now on the right stalk, underneath, there's actually a button and buttons on the side to control the menu. So if I press the under button, I can cycle through the menu, see a few more things. On this screen, I can cycle as well, see some vitals that will pop up within the car. And then I can continue cycling and get into a navigation screen as well. So I like the amount of tech you get. Got the odometer and everything on the right side, time and date on the left. The fard gauge is going to be for your water temp. Then we have the tach and speedometer. Gas is on the far right side. And then up on top, we have oil pressure, oil temperature, and then your battery. I love all the smooth black leather throughout the top. You can see all of your air vents, the Lamborghini name with more red stitching. And then there even is a glove box over here with a plug. This is actually a factory plug. And you can even get one with the lightning port for a modern phone. It actually came with one for a 40-pin iPod connection. So taking a look at the screen, this is old Audi. You're very familiar with this if you're used to Audis from 10 years ago. But you have your full navigation system, of course. All the controls like any typical Audi. There's a backup camera when you put it in reverse. However, you can also press this at any speed and you have a decent look at what is behind the car. Controls over here for windows on the far side. Hazards, our gas cap release, as well as traction control. Headlights is right here. This one is fog lights. However, US cars do not have them, so that switch does nothing. Climate controls, which also look very similar to other Audi cars. We basically tap this for fan speed. You can make those adjustments. Go back to your temperature. And then we have zones. You tap that, cycle through this for all the different zones. And then heated seats as well. You can adjust. So I like how simple it is. For being an old car, honestly, it actually works pretty darn well. Down below, we have our mirror controls, backup camera, along with the front end lift, which raises this car about 2 inches up front. Then our drive modes. We have our automatic toggle, Sport and Corsa, which will adjust how quickly the transmission shifts. You got all beautiful leather throughout the center tunnel with more of the stitching, handbrake, and I love how there's actually a cup holder. I believe this is an option. Standard is a little tiny glove box, which is useless. So that is so cool to see. You even have a 12 volt. Another look at the seats. Beautiful interior. I love this spec. And then you can see all this smooth leather for the headliner with some stitching. There are Alcantara sun visors as well, which is a cool touch. And there's even a built-in garage door button system. I did not know this car would have that, but I love that aspect. And then visibility, looking over your right side, if you kind of pop your head up, it's not too bad back there. Throughout the front, you have a lot of glass, and it's actually pretty easy to look around. And looking over your left shoulder is amazing. That window is so incredibly useful. Now, behind the seats, there's actually hooks up here as well, if you do need to put anything up there. And then one last look. So let's go ahead and fire it up real quick. The V10 will roar to life. There are some interesting noises this car is gonna make. Going into reverse, got a little beep. Camera pops up. To go into neutral, you pull both paddles together. Of course, your e-brake. And who doesn't love a V10? Now, when you open the door, if the car's running, you will get the dinging quite a lot. So the car definitely is on the interesting side. And then when you shut it off, there we go. That is also what you get. Let's take one last look now at the passenger side of the car and then take this car for a spin. But it certainly is an interesting car in many ways. Opening up the door panel. So behind these seats, there's a handle you can kind of grab. It's a little awkward to get to, but you have a decent storage shelf with here with a built-in net. So this is a really good area for the second water bottle if your passenger has that. And I've actually even installed a nice fire extinguisher. But you can fit a pretty good amount of items here, 2 small backpacks, to make this a pretty useful car. And then one last look, once again, at everything. Lamborghini on the floor mats. And certainly is a beautiful car inside and out. Old school, of course, but with just enough modern tech. All right, so setting off in the Gallardo, we are just in automatic normal mode. As you can tell, it's a little lazy on the shifting when you're in that mode. Primarily, you want to be in manual and in sport mode. That gives you a good shift to where it's not going to slip the clutch, nor is it going to abuse the clutch. Driving this in the normal mode actually puts a little bit of wear and tear on your clutch. Corsa mode, it's a really quick shift to where it's a little bit stressful on it. So sport mode manual is the way to go. Some normal things, it's noisy. You got a big loud V10. However, you know, we drove this 11 hours home and it really wasn't all too bad. The seats are pretty decently comfortable. After about 7 hours is when they start getting a little on the stiff side. But other than that, you know, for being a very old platform of a supercar, honestly, it's a nice place to be. I really enjoy sitting in this car. I love the small, old school Audi steering wheel. It is amazing in the hands. The steering is very heavy. The brakes are very heavy. You really have to push the brakes. So you have to work this car. It is really rewarding though to drive it because it's not like all the new cars, which are incredibly easy. So we'll keep it in sport, we'll do an acceleration, and then I'll show you the differences in shifting speeds depending on the drive mode. Sounds amazing. So that's sport mode, you can see the delay. If I take it out of sport and do the normal mode in manual, it definitely lurches you a little bit. Now going into Corsa, significantly quicker. So it's really cool to be able to do that. If you're on the back roads, stick with Corsa. Normal driving, I go to sport mode. I also love, it's got a long windshield, takes a little bit getting used to, but nonetheless, you can still easily place the front end. These sounds this car makes are addicting and absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And then handling with this car, it's a little bit of a handful, especially rear wheel drive. It can definitely get out from under you, but the steering is so direct and the suspension is so planted to where it is so fun just blasting through the turns in this car. You definitely don't want to go too crazy, of course, because this is very old technology. You want to kind of learn your way into the car to be able to drive it harder and harder. But this car keeps you on your toes. It gives you a sensation that no other car I've ever driven gives you. Whether you're going slow or fast, this always feels like an absolute occasion. And that was one of my biggest reasons for buying the car. Obviously, it's my childhood dream car, so I wanted to tick that off the bucket list. But the way this car drives, it is always a special thing to be behind the wheel. There's never a boring time to drive this car. I love the mechanical single clutch transmission. It's so old school. I mean, cars do not operate like this at all. It is really cool. The brakes themselves, they do work really well. You just gotta push them hard. But it is fun. It is always a smile. If you want a unique experience, the Gallardo is it. Just a blast. And to be honest, this car is a lot faster than I expected, especially coming from my old GTR. This car really is a lot quicker. It's plenty fast enough. 0 to 60 is like mid 3 seconds. I mean, this thing gets up to illegal speeds without even thinking it. It truly is just an absolute blast to drive. Now, as far as any drawbacks, obviously you're in a very old school car, so there are some things. It doesn't have any cruise control, which long distances you might have to use your left leg, and that is basically cruise control in this car. On top of that, if you are in the normal drive mode, like in automatic, the transmission is very lazy. We are in 6th gear right now, going about 45. If I give it some gas, It didn't even really downshift or anything, so it's not a car that responds quickly if you're letting it do its thing. This is a car you need to drive it like a manual. So sport mode and manual mode, and you're always being in control of the gear changes. That's when you're gonna get the fun. So that is just the one thing you gotta keep in mind. Obviously the tech isn't the most up to date. However, it's plenty tech that I need in a car. I can listen to music when needed, and that's literally about all I could ask for in a car. So not really the biggest drawback, it's just a car that you need to know what you're getting. Don't expect this to be a lightning quick dual clutch transmission that responds to you perfectly. You need to drive it as if it were a standard manual transmission. Aside from that, that's the biggest thing that some people complain about. They don't like the E-gear for those regards, but if you think about it as a stick shift, it kind of changes your whole perspective, and I like the fun factor. A gated manual, you can find them on a first gen car. Second gen car, you're in a completely different budget to where it's not exactly affordable for most Gallardo owners like myself, but the E-gear I think is a blast to use. It's old school and yet kind of gives you a good blend of everything.